up, guys? Got another live for y'all. Um, Let me know if you can hear me good or not. I got this thing plugged up. Sometimes it doesn't want to act right, but hopefully it's hopefully it's acting right and you guys can hear me. Just put a one in the chat if you can hear me. But we're gonna do another Sunday stream. This is more my style right here. Just making the good video, talking about it, having good content. I do have a studio to do videos, but I really don't like being cramped up in there. And also, my kids are really loud. So it's kind of hard to keep them quiet for a long amount of time because they're just kids and that's just the way kids are. I'm not I'm not necessarily somebody that's going to be like, hey, these kids need to be quiet all the time, need to sit down, because that's not the way kids are, and that's not the way they need to be. The kids don't need to act like adults; they're kids, and they act like kids, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Now, on today's video, outlaw bikers help more people than you do. What does that mean? Why did I make that video? Well, first of all, I made that video so you'd watch it, but also there's a point to this video because there's a misconstrued image when it comes to bikers, and that they're just no good. They're just the scoundrels. They're just the plebs. They're lower class people that just always into something, and criminals if I put it in a different description. And a lot of times you'll figure out that that's not true. And I think that it comes from just misunderstanding and not wanting to get to know the culture very much. Because if you if you dive even just a little bit into the culture, you'll figure out that uh, it's not true. And a lot of times, those outlaw bikers help more people than the regular people do. And that goes to say, like, a lot of these motorcycle clubs will have. Oh, thanks for watching. I got 34 people watching. Thanks, guys, for watching. Um, get a one in the chat if you can hear me good. But like a lot of times, these bikers they will have charity rides. They'll have bike nights where they'll raise money and give to people. There's a lot of different things that bikers do for the community, and that needs to be talked about more because I think it kind of slips under the radar because people just don't know what they don't know. But a lot of these guys that are in these clubs, they're doing a lot more for the community than regular people are, and that needs to be talked about a little bit more because, like I said, the charity rides and things like that, they're raising some of these clubs are raising a lot of money for kids, disabled people, veterans, things like that. And they're not asking for credit. They're not going out there and saying, "Hey, we did this, we did that." They're just doing it. And while I think that's great, it kind of does need to be talked about because nobody's paying attention. They just think that, oh, those guys riding those bikes with their vests and stuff, they're hoodlums and they're just no good people. And that's somebody's dad. That's somebody's uncle. That's somebody's brother-in-law that has a full-time job or a business that donates money every year to different causes, takes time out of their day to go give those toys to kids, and that kind of just it needs to be brought up because it the whole counter image. Now I'm not trying to say that they're Boy Scouts because the whole point of motorcycle clubs from the beginning was that guys that felt like they didn't have their own place. They came back from the wars. They loved riding motorcycles because they'd been riding them in the war. They got together with other guys that loved them, and they started riding together. And they kind of had their own code. They had their own rules, and the reason being was because, hey, thanks for watching. Is it Elias? Thanks for watching, man. Uh, they had their own code. They had their own rules, and they didn't want to go back into a society that didn't really want them. Like imagine, and this happens a lot, but military veterans will come back home and people just treat them weird. They just treat them different. And there's names they have for the veterans when they come back from wars and stuff, but I won't say those. But imagine you come back from a world war, the worst thing that had ever happened, and you joined because you wanted to get in on the action. You want to do something good. You wanted to save the world, pretty much. I mean, because it was a world war. And then you come back from all that, and people start calling you names, treating you weird on the street. And then you say, well, I'm just going to get this motorcycle. Me and my buddies are going to ride. We're going to do our own thing. You can just leave us alone. But then it gets better. So your motorcycle needs worked on, right? Because motorcycles need maintenance. You take them to the dealerships, and the people there don't want to service your bike. Why, you may ask? Oh, because you're one of those outlaw bikers, and they don't need your kind there. So first, first we had guys that came back from the wars. They were treated different. That decided to do their own thing, and then as they're doing their own thing, hey, what's up, Quiet King? Nice to see you. Now as they're doing their own thing, they're still getting bothered because they're wanting to get their bike serviced. And the reason being is because they would customize their bikes, and as soon as they brought that custom bike up there, the people at the dealership would know that they were a biker. And they're like, "Oh, we're not doing that. We're not servicing you outlaw bikers." So then they're dealing with that. And then you had that thing that happened in Hollister, California, where the guys got together, and that famous photo came, and they pretty much said that bikers were no good to society. And that's when the guy came out and said, "Hey, 99% of bikers are great, and only 1% is the bad guys, outlaws." So that's where that 1% came from. Dog, where the hell you been from live Africa? I haven't seen you. Um, I've been all over, man, all over. I mainly been trying to get the bike scene up and running, and bikers against child abuse at my college. Yeah, there's a club here. I think it's Baca, and I don't think they'll mind me saying their name because they're a nationwide club. But Baca, Bikers Against Child Abuse, that's a club. Um, I can't. I think they're an MC. I met a few of them before. Because you got different clubs. You got like an MC, which is a motorcycle club, and you got an RC, which is a riding club, and then you got things of that nature. But I'm pretty sure Baca is an MC. I think they're 99% too. But yeah, you got clubs like that. I mean, their name is helping somebody. like um, there's those, and there's another one. Uh, there's another club kind of like that that's for like domestic violence. But there's all those clubs like that that help people. And imagine helping somebody and they're turning up their nose at you while you're helping them. And I've had that happen to me. Like, we went on a ride a while back, and the whole ride was to help somebody that needed money for a personal reason. Like, I won't bring up what it was, but the whole ride was in memory of, and we were giving them money to help with personal stuff. And they did a secondary ride that we're going to chat about bike clubs when I get inside the school library. I'm walking right now. I'm about to type it. I got you. Um, let's see. Add a Q&A sticker. Your go-to doodle. Sorry, the live stream's popping up things on here, and I'm like reading it. But and anyway, they had a secondary ride, right? So we weren't going to go on the secondary ride because we'd already rode on the other one. It was freezing cold, and the old ladies are already getting. They're freezing to death, and we're ready to go. So we're just going to give. We just went to the second ride and just gave them money at the second ride. You know, we gave money at the first, and we held the first ride and took all that money and give to them. They did a second ride, and we just brought money to them. And everybody kind of treated us like criminals, just to just hold their nose up to us. And it's like, but you're willing to take the money from us, and that's kind of the way it is. Like I know, I rode motorcycles a lot in my life. Okay, there's a time where I didn't ride for a little while, and I got back riding again, and I noticed that motorcycles already have their own mystique. They have their own appeal. Like you see a guy on a motorcycle, and you kind of have this thought about him, and then when women see guys on motorcycles, they have a thought about them. Uh, but then when you start riding in groups, there's a whole different aspect to it. There's a whole different aspect to it because if you start riding in groups wearing the same colors, that's when people start treating you different. That's when people start treating you different too.
I couldn't see who he was.
I was doing I was doing a live stream right here, and I was like, man, I'm just gonna come say hi to him. uh, but anyway, he got me distracted because my buddy walked by and he was like, "Hey, see, we're friendly, we're nice to people, but people just treat bikers a different way, especially when we start wearing the same colors and stuff. They act weird about it." But he said, if we're being honest, most road rages and crazy situations are regular car drivers. They are. Now, there are bikers. I'm not trying to say bikers are just innocent. There are bikers that act crazy. More sport bikes because there's that fast acceleration and stuff. If you're on a Harley or a touring bike or something, you may be speeding and stuff. You may be kind of splitting lanes and everything, but you're not going to act as crazy as a sport bike guy will. I mean, that's more power to them. They won't act like that and get killed and find you're in charge of your own life. But a lot of the situations we have are with cagers, and you might be saying where it's cager, it's a person in a car. If you're riding a cage, which is a car with four doors, they're cagers, and that's the people that act the craziest, because they're just not paying attention, and you have something protecting you, so you're not really paying attention to a lot of things, and you'll just run flat over a biker. Like the other day, I was riding down the road, and it was a 4 lane with a turn signal in the middle, or turn lane in the middle. I'm in the right lane, cruising down the road, and this car comes out of a CVS and just keeps on coming. Just comes right out on me. I'm not speeding. I'm doing 50 miles an hour. It's nighttime. It's kind of cold. Just comes right out on me. I had to get over in the next lane, and I'm like, I've got my lights on. I'm in a bright colored bike, and it's because the angle they were at pulling out. I guarantee you they didn't look all the way around and just pulled out. And like that could have ended my life. Like that right there, just could have ended my life. There goes my kids. There goes my family. No more daddy. Just like that. And they'd be like, oh, I just didn't see them. But if you're a good biker and you rode for a while, you can kind of get out of those situations. I mean, sometimes you just can't. Sometimes somebody gets over, tries to pass somebody in a double yellow and just hits you head on. I mean, what are you gonna do? But I mean, that's everybody like black people, one bad apple. Isn't everyone like most cops are cool? Yeah, yeah, and I understand that. Now, the whole cop thing, I could have a whole video about that because I do feel like, or I do think that a lot of this gets misconstrued, and I feel like there's a big percentile of cops, and I feel like there's a big percentile of minorities that are good people, and I feel like it gets misconstrued, and you keep showing all the bad videos of everybody. Um, while at the same time, I think that policemen do need to get held to a different standard, um, because I know a lot of policemen and they act a certain way, if you know what I mean. And not trying to talk down on them or anything, but you've told me in your words coming out of your mouth how you act as a policeman, and I'm going, what the heck? You know, because it's like, come on, dude, you got somebody's life in your hands, and you're acting like a bully. But I mean, it's a whole. That's why I say when I'm talking about cops. Now, I don't associate with cops with a club. I just don't do that. They're motorcyclists and cops do not belong together. You have cop clubs, but they're different. LE clubs, motorcycle clubs, are just different, and most of them are not associated with by other motorcycle clubs. That's just the way it is, and it's just a different world. Because I think that if you're a police officer, you are always a police officer. It's like being a Marine. You are always a Marine. If you talk to any Marine, they're either 80 years old or 20 years old, they're a Marine. Watch them. They're quick to tell you, I'm always a Marine. Police officers the same way. There's a lot of police officers that are only police officers to get their retirement and get out. Well, you're still a police officer. And if you look in their name, it says law enforcement. Law enforcement. And that's what it is. They're there to enforce the laws. That's what they're there to do. They're not there to protect you. They're there to enforce the laws. Because push comes to shove, they will take your butt to jail to enforce the law. Now, there's a lot of good ones out there. There's a lot of guys I know that'd be like, they might see somebody drunk and call a relative to come get them. Hey, come get this guy and just leave this car here and come get it in the morning. Or there's a guy that might say, we're going to tow his car, we're going to take you to jail, and we're going to cause nonsense for your whole family. There's it's both ways. Says, yeah, I know what you mean. I had a conversation with a dude at the gym, said he wanted to be a cop, but started saying race stuff, and I checked him, and he quit his membership. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Um, and as far as the race thing goes, motorcycle clubs most of the time they will keep the race separated, and it's not so much a racist thing. It comes from back in the day when people started getting locked up in prison. They separate races, and so the clubs were getting locked up, and then when they were getting locked up, they were having to separate club members into different gangs to survive. So you had Mexicans and whites and blacks all in the same motorcycle club, but then when they get in prison, they're having to separate. So all of a sudden, the two white guys that were in two different motorcycle clubs that were beefing with each other had to be friends, and it was really awkward. So that's why in clubs they started separating it out, because back in the day you had Hell's Angels that were black, you had Mexicans that were in these different clubs, and they just had to separate them because it got to the point where when you're getting in jail, you're having to separate anyway. So that's why a lot of them keep separated now. Now there is in my club there is a couple of mixed race guys. So binge Sons of Anarchy, and while that's far from real stuff, it showed a lot of inward. Yeah, the Sons of Anarchy. If you know nothing about motorcycle clubs and you watch Sons of Anarchy and you watch Mayans, it would give you a little bit of an idea, kind of like if you watched Baywatch and it showed you what lifeguard was like. You know, if you watch Baywatch and it a tenth of it told you what it was like to be a lifeguard, pretty much. Um, because as far as bikers go and motorcycle clubs, they're not they're not burning tattoos off of each other. Okay, they're not doing that. Now, if you leave the club and you're in a 1% club, they're probably going to make you go to the back and take the tattoo off immediately. Like if you got tattoos and stuff, they're probably going to take you to the back room and make you cover it up like right then. So they will do that, but they're not burning them off of you. They're not cutting them off of you. They're not doing that kind of stuff because it's like most time too. If you're in those clubs, if you do 5 years, you can retire anyway. So those big name clubs, if you do 5 years, you can just retire, and then you get to keep all that stuff. So, and let's be honest, most black dudes don't do motorcycling. You would be surprised. There is multiple motorcycle clubs in because I won't be afraid to. I'm in Alabama. Okay, there is multiple motorcycle clubs in the Birmingham area that is all black. There's Atlanta, Georgia, also has several all black motorcycle clubs. It's more prevalent than you think. Now they're not everywhere, but it's kind of like you'll have, I would say, maybe 70-30, 80-20. I would say that, you know, black mixed and then, or white mixed and then black. I would say that. It's a lot more than you think. They just keep real tight knit because you'll notice that they all stay together. And it's not that anybody's doing it, it's just that's where they want to be. But I'm friends with a couple people that's in black motorcycle clubs, and it's just that's just what they do. They just separate it out like that. Um, but I I personally am for everybody being friends. I think that even if you're a 1% outlaw biker club, you're just the roughest of the rough. I want to be friends with you. I want to know who you guys are. I want to hang out with you guys. I want to talk about motorcycles and go riding together. I think that you should be able to do that. Now, I understand you can't do that with everybody, but I think if you're just the roughest of the rough, that my group of friends should be able to meet up with your group of friends and go riding. Why not? Because if we don't start uniting a little bit in these clubs and becoming more friendly with each other, it's going to become easier to dismantle it. And kind of like, well, no, I won't go into that because that's a little bit out there. But that's why they have like the Confederation of Clubs and stuff like that in the different states where you'll have several of the biggest clubs in the state will meet up and talk things over and stuff about smaller clubs and deal with those kind of things because they want to kind of unify a little bit. We want to be individuals, but we want to be unified as dudes. You know what I mean? And I think that's what everybody kind of wants. Like you want to be a part of something, but you want to be your own thing at the same time. Kind of like in that. You remember that scene in Robin Hood? I think it was the one with Russell Crowe where he's talking to the king, and the king said, "Well, what would you have? A castle for every man?" And he said, "Well, every man's house is his castle." You know, and everybody kind of was like, "Yeah." And the king could tell right then he did not like Robin Hood because he had the pulse of the people, and he was very jealous of that. And that's the kind of thing that people don't notice is like in reality, the king would have had that guy killed. And the guy would have never seen it coming because he would have been trying to do the best for the kingdom and do the best for the people, and the king would have betrayed him and killed him. And that's what happens a lot of times with those people. You've got to kind of pay attention and see that stuff coming. But like, I think that we should be able to do that. I think we should be able to hang out together and ride motorcycles together and talk about stuff because I love motorcycles. They're cool to me. I love anything like that with the wind blowing my hair back, so to speak. It's just fun. Yesterday I went riding and it was freezing cold outside. My buddy wanted to go. One of my buddies wanted to go riding with me, and he showed up. He had no gloves and like barely a face cover. I said, "Dude, that ain't gonna cut it." So I gave him a pair of my. I was nice. Gave him a pair of my gloves to ride, and I even said I had a pair of sunglasses if he wanted to wear them. Like, people don't understand. They don't want to get to know bikers, and if you ever did, you would find out they're probably nicer than you are. Because any of my friends right now could call me up, and I'm gonna go help them. What's what it is to be in a club. One of my buddies right now could call me up and say, "Hey, I'm on the side of the road." I'm like, "I'm okay. I'm coming to get you." It should be that easy. It's the same thing as if any of my family member calls me and says, "Hey, I need your help." I would come help them. Now, a lot of times they don't come. They don't call me because they're like, "Well, I didn't want to bother you," and I'm like, "I'm the one you bother. That's why I'm here." You know. But that's why guys got together and started riding motorcycles is because they wanted a brotherhood. They wanted a connection with other guys. Um, and that's how people become more successful. That's how more people have become successful since the dawn of man. Connections with other people. You get successful through connections. Anybody that runs a business has connections. Okay. Well, we have connections with people as well. And anybody that rides motorcycles around here will tell you, I'm going to wave at you. If we're riding down the road, I'm on a motorcycle and you're on a motorcycle, hey man, if you were on the side of the road and you need help, I'm going to stop and help you. And if I ride up on my bike at a gas station, there's somebody broke down a car, I'm probably going to ask them, hey, you need some help? We do charity rides all the time for people. We try to help all the time. There's literally a flyer like every month that we get from somebody that says, hey guys, will y'all come out here? And if we can, we will. If we not, we'll just send some money. Like, and that's the way it should be. You should have a network. That's what I've been looking for, a network. There is a Porsche GT3 or whatever sitting here and it is bad to the bone. Like, if I can flip it around where you can see, look at that bad boy. That is nice. That is nice. Is that not? I thought you had to like own so many of those before they'd let you have one of those. Now, he may have figured out a way to get that, but I thought that you had to own like so many millions of dollars worth of Porsches before they would let you have that. Unless you just bought it from somebody and they broke the rule. But most of them, they find out, you get in trouble. No joke. Like, there was a guy saying that he had to buy like so many Porsches before they'd let him even like get a chance at buying one of those. That's how crazy it is. Like, you want to talk about people acting away? How about luxury car dealers? How about them manufacturers? If you want to buy a GT40, you have to like petition to Ford why you should own one, and then if you're going to sell it, you have to like let them know, or you get a penalty. How about that? But I want to ride a motorcycle and be with a bunch of guys, and that's just dumb. You know what I mean? But anyway, like, what do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about motorcycle clubs? Like, when you think of a motorcycle club, what comes to mind? Like, tell me in the comment section what you think of, because it's a very misconstrued image. It's not what you think it is. And so that's why I'm kind of trying to spread awareness a little bit, because I'm tired of the misconception. Because when me and my buddies started riding around and wearing the same colors, people looked at us different. People were coming, like family members were coming to certain people in the group saying, I just worry about you, and I just hope that you're okay in this situation. I hope nothing bad happens to you. It's like, get out of my face. You know, when they were crabs in a bucket, they was fine. Nobody said a thing. When they were crabs in a bucket, not thinking for yourself, everything was fine. But the minute you put on a vest and you start riding motorcycles, oh, we just can't have that. It's because they don't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you to have anything for yourself, and they don't want you to think for yourself, because then you're dangerous. When you start thinking for yourself and you start collecting notes with other people, you're dangerous as a person. They can't control you. I really hope, yeah. I was really hoping that I brought my my headphones, because if I didn't, I was going to be in trouble. I hate working out with no headphones on. But this guy just come running by. I was like, what's he running for? He looked like he almost fell. But what do you guys think? My stomach hurts. I don't know if you could hear that, but my stomach is like, that pre-workout got me. Does pre-workout hurt y'all's stomachs too? Like, I use that. It's like superhuman something something. I used to use Pump Fuel Insanity, and it's a really good pre-workout, but it's so expensive. It's like $70 a tub. I was like, guys, I can't pay no $70 a tub for. I mean, it'll give you. I think it's your 30 or 40 scoops, but still, good grief. Um, but let me know what pre-workout you guys use too. I use a Superhuman something from GNC. It's a pretty good pre-workout. Um, I don't use Bucked Up. It's not very good. I don't use like C4. It's not very good either. I like to use things that have it split up where you can see what's actually in the pre-workout. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times they'll use that proprietary blend. I don't like that. Or it's split up where you can see what it is. But that's just me. But yeah, I think that's all I got to say for today. Like, people just don't realize how much motorcycle clubs do for the community. They don't, and it's because they don't want to. They want us. They don't want guys like that, because when you have masculine men who can do things on their own, who can think for themselves, but are also in a group of other guys, that's dangerous. They don't like that. But that's pretty much all I got. Let me know what you guys think. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Give me some ideas for my next video. I'd like to do at least 2 videos a week talking about things with you guys, and maybe answer some questions, because there's just nobody. There's not a lot of videos being done in Alabama in the South, and there's a huge culture of motorcycles in the South, but it's mainly like the bigger clubs in Las Vegas and New York and things like that are talking. There's not a lot of clubs in the South. But hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll talk to you guys later. Where's the end button at? See you guys later. Bye.